Shevas Davis here, and welcome to our first session in developing your mindset and exercises for being an artist. Now, it's very important that you able to warm up and learn some skills, and most of all, having the mindset of an artist. You might be asking, Shevas, what is the mindset of an artist? Well, let me tell you, the best thing about being an artist is that you get to create your own rules. Unlike math and English and other structured ways of learning, art is a way to be able to express yourself in a way that you want to express yourself. There's no right way or no wrong way. And most artists have developed the skill in doing it their own way. So where there is no right or wrong, there is your own way. So I want to encourage you on today that you can create your own way. Remember, I'm just a guide, a teacher, an instructor, someone to help motivate you and take you to your next level. But most of all, it's going to take you and yourself and the faith in yourself to be able to take it to that next level. Now, because we are a motivational art company, we want to be able to motivate you through art. So it's important that you understand one thing. Number one, patience. Be patient with yourself. It's going to take some time for you to develop your skills as an artist. Whether you're first beginning or if you're learning some new things about being an artist, it's going to take some time. So please be patient with yourself and understand that there is no mistakes in art. Everything that we're going to do on today is going to be a learning process for you. Remember, as our song says, we don't take L's, we only learn lessons. So all that we're going to do on today and throughout this course is about learning some lessons to take us to that next level. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get motivated and let's learn about the mindset of an artist and some exercises that we need to do to be able to warm up. Let's go. In order to be a great artist, you also are going to have to use the right tools. For example, if you wanted to nail a nail into a wall, you wouldn't use a sandwich, would you? No, you wouldn't. You would need a hammer. Or if you wanted to make a sandwich, you wouldn't use nails, would you? No, you probably would use meat and cheese or peanut butter and jelly, my favorite. So the same things with art. If you want to be able to develop your great skill as an artist, you're going to need to use the right tools. So I'll teach you a little bit about pencils before we even begin. If you haven't got your paint with face set, then it's important that you get some proper pencils. You can find them at paintwithfaith.com. But let me tell you first about these pencils. This is the B set. It goes from B, 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, and it keeps going up. Now, the higher the number, the darker the pencil. Again, the higher the number, the darker the pencil. Also, the higher the number, the softer the lead of the pencil. So, for example, if we wanted to get some very, very dark details, we would go to 8B. And if we wanted to get mildly dark pencil lines or shading, we would use the regular B. But all the B pencils are for getting very dark values and tones for your artwork. So if you're an artist who've been trying to get that realistic look in faces or in hair or other details like shading and shadowing, then you might be missing out on your B pencils. So it's important that you get the right tools to do the right job. So if you haven't got your set yet, order them now to make sure that your artwork can look phenomenal. The next set of pencils are our HB and H set of pencils. The HB pencils are the pencils we use on an everyday basis. For example, when you're in school and you had to take a test, you would normally use a number 2 HB pencil. So that's our everyday regular shade pencil. You can do light shades and dark shades with it. Our next one is the H. The H begins to go to our lighter shades of pencils. It goes H, 2H, 4H, 6H, and up. Now, though they get lighter and lighter as you go up, not only that, but the pencil lead is harder as the number goes up. So it will take more work for you to get dark values for these lighter pencils. So if you want to have a gray shade or a very light gray shade, you would go into your H set of pencils. If you haven't done so, you're going to need a set of these pencils to do some phenomenal, detailed, high value work. And in order to get the right tones and shades, you're going to need a nice set of H and HB pencils. Before artist begins their work, it's important that they do some exercises. Now that we have an artist mindset, it's important that we exercise. Think of it like this. An athlete usually warms up before they go run on a track, play basketball, or even play football. So just like athletes warm up before they begin their activities, we also need to be able to warm up before we begin our activities. So let's do a couple exercises in order for us to get warmed up to go into the lesson that we're about to have. The first exercise is going to be circles. Just like a runner, before they go sprinting, take a couple laps, we're going to do the same thing. So let's do a couple laps around the page. I'm going to use my regular HB pencil because this is what's used for everyday use. So we'll begin with some large circles and then we'll work our way with some smaller circles. So we're just going to go around. Now, this exercise helps us, for one, keep our arm locked into place. And so it keeps us from using our wrist and using our whole shoulder, which also helps us become a better artist. So don't bend your wrist. Just do these nice locked in shapes. Take a couple laps this way. Do about 5 or 6 laps. And our goal is to try to make the circles as circly as possible. I know it's not a word, but that's the great part about being an artist. So again, let's do a couple more laps. Again, I'm making big circles here, medium-sized circles here, and then we're going to work our way into doing some smaller circles in between. This helps with hand-eye coordination, and it also helps us get warmed up. All right, smaller circles developing. All right, again, we're working on our hand-eye coordination. And let's make some more circles in here. Sometimes the warm-ups can be fun as well. Again, there's no mistakes in this. This is all in developing our skills and learning to warm up our hand, our mind, and working on our artist mindset. All right, we're just going to make a few more to fill all of these shapes in. Again, this is also going to help us in developing our patience. So we're just going around, just filling in these extra shapes, small circles. And if you really want to get detail, you can go even smaller and even smaller in here. Kind of like a Mickey Mouse warm up. That looks good. Now we're going to go into lesson number 1, shading and value. So value shows how dark or light any color or shade can be. So for example, if you have a very dark red or a very light red, value shows the difference between that light red and that dark red. So value is very important in art. Values are also best understood as a scale, which is called a gradient scale, which shows the variation from dark to light. Then there's shading. Shading refers to darks and lights given in different ways. One, doing variations of shading with a pencil. You can use lines, you can use dots. So shading just also shows the range from dark to light in different variations or different mediums or different options in order to shade. So let's learn more about value and shading and how we can use them to develop our skill and our mindset as an artist. This next exercise will give you the perfect example of understanding value, tone, and shading. So what I want you to do now is I want you to draw a rectangle. All right, so we're going to draw a long, thin rectangle, and we'll start with that to be able to begin this first exercise. So we'll first start here by drawing a vertical line. Then we'll come across maybe about 4 or 5 inches with a horizontal line. It doesn't matter how straight your line is. All right, and then we'll go back up vertical. And then we'll close it in with one more horizontal line. Again, this is an exercise, but it's going to help us understand the process of value, tone, and shade. So let's break this up into about 5 or 6 boxes. All right, so vertical lines going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, doesn't matter how hard you press it or how straight the lines are. Again, this is an exercise that will help us understand the concept of darks, lights, values, tone, and shading. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my HB pencil. All right, and I'm going to show you how the HB works. So we want to be able to start dark and then work our way to light. So since HB is the middle, I'm going to use my middle box to kind of give me a scale of how dark and light I need to go. So I'm not going to press very hard. I'm just going to give a nice gray shade inside this box. And let's work on developing and filling up that shaded box. Remember when we were in school, we had to shade it in all the way? Let's kind of practice that concept. All right, so I'm going to shade this in all the way, a nice gray shade. This will be our medium tone. There you go. Now let's grab one of our B pencils and let's see the difference over on this end. So I'm going to use the 4B. I'm going to put 4B right here. And that way I can know that 4B means dark. All right, so let's shade this in with some pressure. Let's see how dark we can get that shade. Yep, fill that box in all the way. Get a nice dark shade. Fill it in, nice and dark. All right, now we can see the difference between these two shades, but now we're going to work from dark and work our way to get lighter as we go. I'm going to stay with the 4B just to see if I can really bring up that pressure. All right, so I know how dark it is here, so I'm going to go a little bit lighter than what I had before. That's looking good, but it's not quite dark enough. So I'm going to do another layer right on top. And I don't mind going outside the box because this is helping me develop my skill. I'd rather not focus on that. I'd rather focus more on developing and understanding and recognizing the tones, values, and shades. All right, that's a little bit better. I'm going to shift over to a 2B just to see if I can get a little bit lighter. Yep, that's a little bit lighter. And that's nice, looking good. Understanding the concept, not worrying about the box, and really focus on developing the different shades. That's looking good. Now I'm going to switch over to my HB. And I'm going to bring it a little bit lighter here. barely touching the paper, very lightly. And then lastly, I'm going to switch over to an H, a 2H, just to finish off that shading. We can instantly see how light it is than the other pencils. So right there. So we have a nice shade of dark to light. All right, this is just another warm-up or exercise. If you want to perfect it even more, feel free to take the time to do that. Now that we understand the concept of dark to light or value, let's do a quick exercise to see if we really understand the concept fully. So you can grab any pencil you want, and we're going to do a shade, a value scale from dark to light, just really quickly. So I'm going to press hard here, adding a lot of pressure. And I'm basically going to follow this scale. So I'm going to go very dark. Then as I come here, I'm going to gradually pull less and less pressure off the paper. And my goal is to match the scale that we have up top. So I'm going a little bit lighter, gradually letting go of the pressure, getting lighter. Doing really good, gradually getting lighter. We're going to a middle tone now. And now we're going to work our way to the very light value scale or tone. Barely touching the paper. Now we will learn two more techniques of shading. The first one is called hatching. Hatching is just basically lines vertical or horizontally that start, when they're placed close together, they make a dark tone. And then gradually as they're separated, they create a lighter tone. So let's just make an example. Let's follow this rectangular space. We're going to go down, down again on the other sides, and then we're going to come across. Again, the rectangular shape is not important. What is important is that we maintain a level of gradient from dark to light. Again, this is called hatching. So I'm going to go vertical lines, and as they become very close together, they will seem darker. And gradually, as I work my way to the right, I will space out the lines a little bit more, and you will see a gradient or value scale from dark to light. So I'm going to make the lines very close together that they're almost overlapping. And as a matter of fact, it is okay if they overlap. Now, what we don't want to do is scribble. We want to make a line every single time. Next row, we're going to space it out just a little bit more. And we want these lines to be very, very close together. Again, next box, space them out just a little bit more. Very good. Let's continue spacing. Again, let's continue spacing. And then the last section, space them out a lot. So it doesn't matter if the lines are perfectly straight. We can obviously and clearly see that there's a value scale going from dark to light. I'll show some examples of how hatching can work with great artwork. The last one is called crosshatching. So again, let's make our rectangular shape. Coming down, coming across. Very good. Cross hatching, like hatching, is made with lines. but obviously they're going to cross. So let's go for it. Let's make the boxes. And then let's begin to crosshatch. The best thing about crosshatching is that you can go in any direction and the lines can overlap any kind of way. And you can even use this in repetition. Just watch. Let's start with diagonal lines. And just like hatching, the closer the lines, the darker the tone. Now we went diagonal. Now we can go horizontal. Very close lines close together. And then we can go vertical. And we can do another row of each direction to make it look darker and darker. Next thing, we're going to do the same thing, space them out a little bit more, diagonal, diagonal again. Again, I'm not worrying about the lines. I'm focused more on the value. Same thing, next row, same patterns. Space them out a little bit more. A little bit more. Vertical, spaced out. Horizontal, spaced out. All right, spacing out more. I'll start vertical this time. Horizontal. Diagonal, diagonal. Same thing. Spaced out a little bit more. And then the last one very spaced out. Fantastic. So we can clearly see the value scale from dark to light with just those hatching and cross-hatching lines. There is one more technique, which is really a bonus technique, which is very labor intensive, but when done properly, creates amazing artwork. I don't recommend we do it with a pencil. I'm going to outline the shape for us, and then I'll use a marker to complete the session. So, this technique is called stippling. Stippling is made with dots. And so in order to create the stippling value scale, you would need to make thousands of or hundreds of little dots stacked and stacked upon each other. Again, I recommend you use a marker for this technique because it is labor intensive. And if you really want to test your patience, this is the way to do it. Again, you space them out just like you did with the hatching. Space them out more and more. And this can be fun for some people. I had many students who love the stippling effect. And again, the artwork that it creates is amazing when done properly. Again, we're spacing out more and more. Just going through. Spacing out again, more and more. And this really takes some concentration and some focus for you to create this type of artwork. Space out more and more. Tap, 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 and then all the way through. All right, put some of those back in there just for the value. So that is our techniques that we use. We have the regular shading scale, value scale, the hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling value scales.